everybody, I'm Leora Sims. Welcome to my channel, and welcome back to Season 3 of my Sims 4 Law and Order SVU series. If you missed any of the previous episodes, please go back and watch them, and please pay attention to the information provided in the description of the video, especially if you or someone you know is in need of help. That's why the information is there. Last week, before I got into gameplay and storytelling, I discussed a form of verbal/emotional abuse. And today I'm going to discuss another form, and that is threats and intimidation. If your partner threatens to humiliate you by spreading lies about you or telling you that he or she will tell your family some deep, dark secrets that you don't want them to know in order to embarrass you, this is abusive. Your partner, if he or she loves you, should never want to humiliate you. Your partner may want you to get help for something if you have a problem with something, and he or she may say, you know, I think I should go to your family and tell them that you have an issue because I want you to get help and I see that you're struggling. That's one thing. But if your partner just wants to humiliate you, that's abuse. And a lot of abusers will lie about you or threaten to lie about you because they know that it will embarrass you. That is abusive. Also, if your partner ever threatens you with physical violence, run. Get away as fast as you can. As I have said many times, abuse is not just physical, but you can bet that if your partner threatens you with physical violence, they will eventually follow through with their threats. And another example of a threat is sometimes harder to identify, and that is an emotional threat. And I have a very good example of an emotional threat that I didn't realize at the time was a threat, and I didn't realize at the time that my ex was trying to intimidate me or why he was doing it. My ex knew that I had friends in the past who have been suicidal, and that they came to me with their feelings, and I encouraged them to get help, and I was there for them. So I take a threat of suicide very, very seriously, because I don't want to take chances with anybody's life. My ex knew this, and he would often say that if he killed himself, I would definitely have a better life than he would, because he would be dead. And I got very upset with him and very hurt, and I would cry. And then one day he said that to me, and I realized that he was doing it in order to gain control over whatever was going on between us. I realized that whenever he didn't like to listen to me be upset, he would use that to get me to be quiet and to get me to feel like I needed to do what he wanted, or he would hurt himself. Abusers can threaten to hurt themselves or threaten to hurt those around you. If this happens, get help immediately. But if this happens, this can also just be a way of your abuser to get control. Either way, you want to get help for yourself and for them, because you never know. And I never thought that it was emotional abuse until I realized he did it every time. He didn't like the way I was acting, and he wanted to regain control of the argument because he wanted his way. And when he didn't get his way, he was not happy. And when he was not happy, no one else was going to be happy around him. And he would also threaten to leave me in order to get control of a fight. Because at some point he knew that I loved him. And at some point I feel that I loved him more than he loved me, and he knew that. So one time we were having an argument, and I was crying, and I think some salad fell on the floor, and I said, I'll get it, and I went to pick it up, and he said he would get it, and I said, no, I'll get it, because I didn't want to ask him for help with anything. And you guys know, I've discussed this before, that I do have a physical disability, so it is easier for him to actually get the salad off the floor than me, but I didn't want to ask him for help for anything. And he didn't like the way I was acting, he didn't like that I was crying, so he said, I'll get a divorce. And he did it in order to gain control over that argument, because he wasn't going anywhere. He was afraid to be by himself, really. I realized later, he was afraid to have to pay rent on his own, and there was no way that he was just going to run out. Whether that was selfish or not, he was staying with me. And that hurts too, because he was using me. I'll get to that in another video. But there was no way he was going anywhere, especially that night. He used that threat to get control of the fight, because he knew that I loved him. And he knows that, personally, I don't like the idea of divorce. Sometimes divorce, unfortunately, is very necessary, but marriage, in my opinion, is a very serious thing and not something that one should enter into lightly. That's my humble opinion. And he had been divorced before, so I felt that he was threatening me. But I felt that he would, I felt that he would divorce me, and he had no fear of doing it. And that's what he wanted me to feel. And that is an emotional threat. And that is to gain control over whatever the abuser wants control over, whether it's what you wear or what you eat. And I will be back with gameplay. I'm back. In the previous episode, Olivia had an argument with her boyfriend, Ed Tucker, and she is not feeling well. She is very sad, and she was very angry. So she called her best friend, Rafael, Barba, and she just wants to be comforted. Not in a romantic way, but she wants to be able to confide. And Olivia finds it hard to confide in a lot of people, but for some reason, she's able to confide in Rafael quite a bit. So she called him, and he met her at this restaurant. She's going to have the butternut squash soup. Which The Sims 4 had more soups available. And Rafael is going to have, the steak when I find it. There it is. The bill is $39, and we'll say for storyline purposes that Rafael is the one who's paying, because he is into women's rights and women's equality, but he is also very chivalrous. You can be both, in my humble opinion. She is so sad. And it's snowing and cloudy. And apparently there's someone else in the restaurant upset because I hear crying. Who's crying? There's someone crying. And Melinda Warner and her family are here. And they were there for the fight between Olivia and her boyfriend. So Olivia may be embarrassed about that. I'm going to have Olivia sit back at the booth. Just because it looks better. And she's just going to talk to her friend. She's going to ask about other Sims, because that's something that she would do. And that's something that I do quite often. I ask about other people a lot. And I ask about other people because I care. But the more upset I am about my own life, the more I'll ask about other people, because I want to hear that they're doing okay. And it gets my mind off my own pain at the time. So she's going to ask about Rafael's mother. Well, first he's going to ask about his love life, since that didn't work. And then she's going to ask about another sim, and she's going to ask about Lucia Barba. And she's going to not ask for a loan. She's going to compliment outfit. And she's going to complain about the cold. They are just friends. There is a romantic interest between them, but you know, it's pretty much it's ignored. She's going to banter with Rafael, which is one of her favorite things to do, and one of his favorite things to do. And then we'll see where we are. I'm glad that he's the one ordering. Just because I said he's the one paying. Just sit together. And let's see, can she talk about how sad she is? Let's just have her express admiration. We'll discuss interest and let's have a deep conversation. And I want to look at her relationship panel and show you where her relationship is with Ed Tucker. She has no gifts to give him right now. She's gonna complain about the cold. I think she might go over to the woman who's sobbing and find out what is wrong. Let's have her be somewhat romantic right now, but she doesn't realize that she's being romantic. See, Olivia Benson, she is very aware of her work. She's very aware if she's helping a victim, but I think over the years, when it comes to her own personal life, she can be quite oblivious. So, and she can be, I think that Rafael, Barba, and her on the show, in the SVU series, are very flirtatious, and he is definitely flirtatious with her, and she seems like she never really picks up on it. And I don't think that she's ignoring it. I just think she just plain doesn't know. She doesn't recognize it. And I think that Rafael Barba is very unique. If he came at her in a different way, I think that she would definitely get that approach, but she wouldn't really be attracted to that approach. And I can make another video just based on what I think about the way you approach somebody in friendships, in romances. I think it's very important. The way you talk to people is very important. The way I have been treated by, talked to by my ex, and then the guy that I tried to date right after my ex, was not nice at all. And the guy that I dated after my ex, he didn't get much of a chance, thank goodness, because he talked to me so miserably. He insulted me, and I was able to recognize that. So I think that I'm very lucky, and I'm very happy, and I learned a lesson from him. I don't want to date him. I don't want anything to do with him, but I'm happy that I learned a lesson, and I'm happy that his approach didn't work on me, because a similar approach worked on me with my ex a while ago, and I'm happy that I learned from that experience. Yeah, so she is going to just, we'll just pretend that she kissed him on the cheek. Because I could see them doing that, and it being no big deal, or seen to her as no big deal, because it's him. And the reason I had her do that is because I know that sometimes if your sim blows a kiss to another sim, it makes them romantic, and I want to see really what Rafael is going to do. So I'm going to end this episode here, guys. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. Thank you so much for watching. Be happy, healthy, and stay safe.